So we have our panel. Welcome, all of you. I'm sure in a second, Nick, you'll grab another microphone and hand it over, will you? Closest to me, we have Costas. Now, I'm delighted to see you, Costas. I didn't know you were here because I hadn't seen you, and then you started tweeting. It's always a good sign. So, no, better late than never. So, Costas completed his education at the University of Hull, went straight into development on VR. Now, that might not be all that amazing, but that's 2003. That's a long time ago, so you're well ahead of your time. Left there to go and do some work with Lionhead, and founded his own studio, Kinesthetic Games, to make the game of his dreams, Kung Fu Superstar. Balances development with lecturing at the University of Westminster, so welcome, Costas, to this. Next along we have Ben from Radio Games. I've never met Ben before, this could be interesting. Do I know anything about Ben? Yeah, he was at Rebellion, at Criterion and Codemasters, and then 5 years ago co-founded a studio called Rodeo Games. Told me a story about the big break that this business got, which is a lesson for all of us. He's sitting on a plane, talking to the person next to him, and they happen to be playing one of his games on iPad. That person turned out to be the head of licensing at Games Workshop. Warhammer Quest followed, and the business is now up and running and doing very well. So, serendipity of well done there, Ben. Next we have Bruce. Bruce is the CEO and co-founder of Polystream, a leading next-gen, fully streamed interactive entertainment, seamlessly delivering enhanced marketing, playable game demos, and full games. That sounds a bit corporate, sorry about that. Previously worked for Sun Microsystems, that's even more corporate, in San Francisco. But he was the general manager at OnLive, and rather cool, he started his career working on military aircraft. Now that's good. Oh, hang on.
It's almost 2 years behind Ian, almost exactly the same start, right. Same place, British Aerospace, flight simulators, biggest video games in the world.
Wonderful. Have you ever taken Ian yet? 2 years behind him still, or? Still 2 years behind. Okay, next along we have Stuart White. Now, Stuart's CV is littered with iconic and award-winning games. Started out at Microprose, classic titles, XCOM, F-15, went to Bullfrog, worked with EA on Harry Potter and Populous, went to Lionhead, worked on Fable, and his last position there was Operations Director. Now he tells me he's currently looking for new opportunities, but you follow him on Twitter, he's just playing Fallout 4 all the time. Come on, put some effort in. Okay, and finally, but not least, Sand Shepherd. Now, a very interesting route into the games industry for Sand. He was a TV producer. He founded the Copenhagen Post, which is a Danish English language newspaper. Had 2 stints at EA. We might find out what happened in between. And then 7 years ago founded Escapist Games and Indie Games Development Studio. Their flagship product, StarChart, is widely considered the top AR application on iOS and Android with 18 million installs worldwide. Sam's been quite vocal about Brexit, so I might drop the bomb in there later and head for cover and see what comes out. A nice, gentle, easy question for you all to start with. Question for you all. Who's got the mic? Who's going to set us off? Right. So, Bruce, we'll start with you. Always a good place to start, Bruce. So, why has Guildford and the surrounding area become such a strong games hub for development, and why are you here?
Well, I think Ian captured it that sometimes chance happens, lots of people have gathered, and that group of people, some other large companies have moved here, and over the years, EA has moved here. They started out in Chertsey. We've seen people like Ubisoft move here. And then other companies have moved as well. But then what we've seen from where the larger companies have been, smaller companies have come out of them. And those small companies create new companies. We see the companies that have come out from Bullfrog, like EdgeCase, and people that then keep growing and keep spawning more and more companies. Recently, as we know, we saw the event with Lionhead, and one of the things that's happened with Lionhead is already a lot of those people have been sucked up or are starting their own things. And so from one large company, a lot of smaller companies are already being started. And I think that's when you get that right cluster, you get that momentum, you then just keep maintaining that momentum. When we started Polystream, my co-founder, ex-Criterion guy, so he was co-founder of Criterion, Adam Billiard with David Lauke. They were acquired by EA. They're familiar with the area. I have a history from starting at Dunsfold, and when Adam said, where are we going to put an office? Well, we could have put an office in Guildford. We could have put an office in London, sorry, but London's huge. So where do you go in London? We've got companies in Hammersmith, we've got companies in the East End, we've got companies in the north, the south. You're still half an hour away from anyone else in London. And so we very quickly decided we'd put an office here. We started hiring, and we've gone in 6 weeks, we've gone from 2 people to 6 people. And that's because the talent's here, it's available, and it keeps that opportunity, and we hope to be another part of building that momentum.
Okay, do you agree with that, Stuart? Do you see anything on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, I moved down to Guildford in the 90s, and I think at that time it was really clear that it was kind of Bullfrog and Criterion and Symmes actually that kind of were the initial catalyst that so many kind of green shoot companies have come out of, and some have succeeded really well, like, well, up until a point, Lionhead, unfortunately, and not so well now, but, Media Molecule and the like, and it's very vibrant because of that.
Ben, do you want to add anything to that? Or shall we move on to negatives? I mean, is there any downsides for being in an established games cluster? You can go positive or negative. What are you up to? Yeah, you're definitely there. You're there, that's okay.
So we've done a lot of positives. I
Yeah.
have one negative, which is, it was touched on earlier, and that's the price of living in Guildford. And I'd say anyone who's doing a startup, yes, it's really important to have this lovely community that we've got that everyone's been fostering so well. But actually, when it comes to living costs, when it comes to rent, when it comes to that day-to-day sort of thing, you'd be better off down in the West Country or something, because your money's going to go 2 or 3 times as long into your development period. That was one of the biggest challenges we had at Radio Games, was trying to scrape together all the funds that we could do, and that was about 7 or 8 months worth of time that we bought ourselves. If we were somewhere else, that could have gone up to a year, and that would have impacted on the quality of the game. So yes, it is really important. It's lovely that we all live here because it's a nice place, but maybe just think about that if you are doing a startup.
Okay. Costas, do you want to add anything onto that?
Not really. I mean, I think everyone's covered it. For me, it was a similar story. I really went to work at Lionhead, and I got lucky enough to do that in 2006. And like Ian said, I soon realised it's not about the companies. Even though growing up in my head, it was this company that made these games, but actually it was the people. And all of those people are here, and I love this community, and it's great to see it being appreciated today. I was here last year as well, and it's great to see a bigger turnout this year. And I hope it's going to be even bigger next year. And I think so. Yeah, I think that's the positives really. It's just an amazing, talented pool of people. For I think the reasons that Ian kind of covered. And I think Ben's point is really important about the cost of living here.
So turning to look at startups a little bit more, and maybe Sam, you can chime in on this one if you don't mind. So 4 of you have certainly set up startups here in this region, and we've heard a bit about the local support that's available, some of it being praised and some of it seems to be a little bit under the radar. What's been your experience of getting regional support and local support to help you grow your business from nothing into something?
We've had no support that I can think of. The government has given us a couple of times we've been nearly wooed away by other areas of the world, both in the UK and outside, from a point of view of funding. The funding that was offered by other people for us to move there was actually stupid of us not to take. Staying here has been okay, but we've been lucky, and that's not something that every startup can expect to have, and they should absolutely be considering where they start up and what funding is available to them. Whether or not it maybe makes it too easy for them or not, it's still better than going bust.
It's interesting, we heard a variety of initiatives tonight and ideas. Bruce, you've recently founded your company. How have you found any kind of local support? As a lesson for startups in the room in particular, how have you found it? How's that support manifested itself?
Well, certainly you guys, Yuki, have been.
I wasn't looking for that, but thanks. Yeah.
Yes, but it's true. I mean, that's probably been one of our best supports. The local network has been a big support. So just being able to take part in some of the events and getting out and meeting people. I would say that from a government perspective, we actually did go through one of the government grant programs, Innovate, and we just closed that out not that long ago. In fact, I wrote a reasonably scathing report to them about their handling of software and technology development projects because of it. And it is something that's under review as a result. It was actually, I would say in the grand scheme of things, probably more of a hindrance than a benefit using that scheme And so that's also left us kind of a little bit bad taste in our mouth with regards to that kind of thing. We're pretty self-sufficient in what we've been doing since then, and that's kind of what we're focused on, is maintaining that and using our networks and our contacts and growing with the community and the people, rather than sort of trying to rely on support that actually can hold you back if you're not careful.
So we might try a quick one-word answer then. I know it's not what panels normally do, but do you, so whoever's got the microphone, do you feel like that the community of games companies in Guildford, I mean, is there a community of games companies in Guildford? Is that what you feel?
Yes, at the pub.
At the pub? Bruce? Down the pub, obviously.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
But that's more than one word. Yes, it's fine. So we've got something to build on there, even if some of the other things around the fringes don't seem to be as perfect as perhaps we would like them to believe. To be. Yes, sorry, Stuart.
I
Yes.
think, even in the last few years, it's really accelerated. I think, I was talking with Kirk a few weeks ago about the involvement of the university and the fact that we're here. I think, that Yuki have got much more involved, which is great. I think there was a Tiger event last week in the cinema. I think Andy Robson stuff that is with the Guildford developers. All of those things, all those networking events, and the fact that there's, been some big closures like Bright Lights and Codemasters and Lionhead has meant that it's all been shaken up, and lots of people are now talking and networking a lot more. And I think that is the strength of this group of people, is that we all know each other, and when we want to hire, it's a lot easier because people are on our doorstep, and particularly for contractors, but also for permanent members of staff.
Okay, so that's a good basis to start with. I mean, you're going through the process at the moment, I believe, of actually looking to grow a business from nothing and looking for finance. How are you finding? It's not necessarily a local question, but how are you looking for finance, and how have you found that? And in a second, I'll ask the rest how you've managed to grow your business, what kind of finance routes you've taken. So, kind of lessons learned for the room.
So, finance for me, I was very close up until about 2 weeks ago to getting a deal, and unfortunately it fell through. So, where I'm at the moment is taking a small group of developers, majority ex-Lionhead, and trying to see if we can do something else. And it's just kind of starting those conversations now with publishers and agents and the like, and and trying to start that process off and get that pitch together.
Okay. Costas, in terms of raising finance, growing your business?
So it's mostly been bootstrapping. We've raised some investment funding in the past as well. But yeah, mostly bootstrapping, which is extremely hard in a region like Guildford.
You think it's more difficult here?
Just because of just like Ben was saying, just because of the cost of living, really, and especially as a dad of two, when that aspect kicks in, then it becomes even harder. So yeah.
So it's games or children. It's a tough decision, isn't it? Good. Well, thanks for joining us here this evening to the detriment of your family. Ben, how about you? How have you found it getting funding?
Well, I've actually started up a new company in the last 6 months. It's called Pachang. The brief was
Racing up the app charts in the States.
Sorry?
Racing up the app charts in the States, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pachang
it is,
doing
yeah.
brilliant.
I think if you all log onto your phones not right now, please listen. But if you go to the App Store right now, it's #1 in the puzzle and the arcade charts. We were #1 over the weekend and stuff. It's been great. But that took 6 months to make. It was myself and my friend Pete who's back there. And basically, we just wanted to make something that was approachable to everyone. Something for everyone. Something for 5-year-olds and for 85-year-olds to play. And it's kind of like a little puzzle game, and it's fun. Anyway, that was self-funded. The idea being that it can raise enough money to do something else next, which is done, which is good. So that was kind of nice. I mean, someone gave me some advice back when we started up Radio, the first company, and it was if you can go without getting any kind of funding at all, if you can do it yourself, it's tough, especially Guildford. Then you should certainly do that because you get loads more on the back end of everything. That was one of the reasons we could grow Radio so much. That was one of the reasons why Pachang is now growing as well, and I think it's definitely the way to go. It's just being able to afford that is a tricky thing around here. God, I sound like such a doomsayer. So I go self-funded every time.
This panel's been a bit more negative than anticipated. We'll try and turn it around in a second. Now, Bruce, you found some money recently, didn't you? Where did that come from?
We did. It was through London Venture Partners and Initial Capital. And so we're not a game developer, we're a platform. And so one of the things that some of the investors are looking at is that they're always looking at different things, but they're an interesting pair of investors because they all have a background in games. We've got the Criterion connection, we've got the EA connection, we've got the Playfish guys from Initial. And they both fund games, but they're looking at the technology that goes alongside games as well. And that turned out to be a good thing for us. And so through sort of, we spent a lot of time, you always talk about that you have to kiss a lot of frogs when you do that. Adam and I probably spent the best part of 6 months raising those funds to take the company, and we had been largely bootstrapping the first sort of 12, 18 months of the company to get to that point. And so when the money came in, the reason for the money was really an accelerator for us. That to grow a platform is going to take us 10 heads, and we could bootstrap ourselves, we couldn't bootstrap 10 people. So now we're in that place where we got that funding, now we've got to accelerate, grow quickly, and take it to the next place. And that was really, we couldn't have done that without the investment, to be quite frank. So it's horses for courses. You have to look at, can you bootstrap it? If you can, that's a great thing to do, and I can completely appreciate why people do that. But at the same time, for us, we have the backing of the investors. The investors are more than just money. They give us a lot of sanity checks. They're very smart business people. They have incredible connections all around the world, so they've helped us get connected with other people, and so that helps us as well. That helps us grow in every part of the business that we're building right now.
Excellent. And Sam, do you want to have a look at the financing? How's your money come in? How are you?
We financed
Self-done?
ourselves as well. We were lucky enough to be able to quit EA and start up and just scrape it through to the point where we made some money. I think my business partner had to sell his car to keep his side of it going. We were extraordinarily lucky. We shipped a product. It was selling 6 copies a day at $3 a pop. And over 6 months we managed to tighten up, add a couple of features that were desirable, and it snowballed, and we were suddenly up to selling over 1,000 a day, and that was quite special. A little bit insane, but quite special. We were lucky, like Ben says, to be able to fund the next things that we've done and everything we've done since ourselves, and hopefully we won't have to be going to look for huge amounts of investment to be able to continue, because we'll be able to do it again ourselves. It's a fantastic position to be in, but it's not something that everybody can expect. I mean, pointing to Valve and saying we're going to be like them, even I know that's completely stupid. You've got to be prepared to either not make it yourself or go and raise money, or do whatever it takes to make your game and your passion come true, because that's what ultimately it is. It's more about passion than money.
That's an interesting line. Thank you for that. Joe earlier said that there was 150 studios doing VR in the UK. Stat I made up this morning in a meeting we had with a Japanese investor. So thanks for that. Just a quick thing to throw back to everyone here. I mean, VR. You know, we're obviously tracking all of the developments in VR and the studios that are working on it. 150 of them is awesome. Quite a few of them around here. Is there much faith on the panel in VR? Maybe one sentence. Is VR going to be good, bad, ugly? What do you think?
I've heard it's okay to swear, so I'm going to say it's fucking awesome. VR is amazing. We've done very well with it so far. Again, we were lucky. And our product isn't a game, it is the Star Chart. So Star Chart in VR already has 250,000 users to date, and that's quite cool. We can see that continuing to grow, and we can see that 2016 is going to be a very interesting year for us in VR.
So Stuart, sounds sold. What about you?
I think it's super exciting. I think it's got a lot of long-term potential. I think there's going to be a lot of companies that lose out in the short term. 30 titles at launch for PlayStation VR. Not all those developers are going to make money.
Bruce, you a VR man?
I think it's a transition to AR.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to really change, and everything will shift when we get to AR. That's going to be the big step forward for everyone. When you don't need a monitor anymore, when you're just, it's, and actually a big setback for AR, just because of the image and the way they approached it. But I think AR is where it will be the big step.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what Bruce said. So VR is a very interesting thing. It's kind of exciting. It makes me feel really sick whenever I try it. I can't really see anyone making any money off it for a long time because that install base just isn't going to be there. So that kind of makes it pointless. AR in maybe 5 years' time might be something worth looking at. Yeah, but right now, you're asking all the wrong questions, man. I want to say nice
You can ask yourself a question and answer it if you wish. What do you want to say then?
No, I guess Costas, yeah.
Go on, Costas. Lighten the mood. Don't say you're going to have kids in VR, so I don't have to pay for my own. Come on.
No. Although my son did want to try it this morning, actually, but I said no. I'm having second thoughts now, based on what these guys were just saying. But I think it's going to be pretty big. Yeah, it'll probably take some time, but I think there is a business opportunity there. I do agree that people won't be making tons of money, but I think people will be able to make sustainable businesses out of it, and that's certainly our plan over the next couple of years or so. We've got 3 VR games in development actually at the moment, so definitely betting on VR at the moment.
I knew you had. We started all happy there. We went doom and gloom. We ended on a high. So there's a lovely curve here. Maybe this is the VR curve. All of the early demand. Doom. So yes, indeed, Costas. Yes.
Have
Yep.
you guys tried the Vine?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up.
I also think VR obviously is much more than just games. I mean, the stuff that Ian's doing. I mean, there's a lot of potential in kind of 3D video and being in concerts or whatever. I think that's probably much more the killer app, and being able to replay a party you went to 10 years after the fact and be there is way compelling.
Okay, so I've just got one more question, but if there's any questions from the audience, do get them ready. What we want is a question down the front here, because Nick was brilliant at running around the room earlier. So we want a question at the front and then one right at the back, and we'll time him and see how far he can get there. I'm going to drop the sort of the Brexit bombshell. Has anyone been having sleepless nights? Is anyone particularly has strong views on what happened last week and how it might impact? Well, shall we start at this end and then end at the other? Yeah, Ben, go on. What do you think?
Actually, it's not too bad. Okay, so if you look at it from a purely business point of view, no, hang on, that sucks. So we're going to be fine, is the message. As businesses, as companies, we're probably going to be fine. There's going to be a transition period. That's going to be bad for a little bit, but we'll be okay. That's the good news. It's awful about the statement that it makes about the company, the country. It makes me a little sad to think that people have to actually do something that's radical to try and get the attention of people up in Parliament and things. That completely sucks. I'm not going to swear. Yes, but the take home is that we'll be okay.
Okay, is a good starting point. Bruce, what do you think?
Bruce.
I think in the short term, we will be okay. I had to sit down with my team. I will say, like I just said, in the last 6 weeks, we've grown our team from 2 people to 6 people. Our team, including significant others, represent England, Scotland, France, Slovenia, Norway, Portugal. That's 6 people, right there.
It's like the European Championships.
It's like the European Championships. So they're scared, right? Everyone is really worried about the impact and what this is going to mean. In the short term, nothing changes. Our financing hasn't changed, our business plans, our models don't change. But at some point, next year, we are going to go for another round of financing. And we don't know what this means for us. But it does open up a very large possibility of, do we stay here or do we open up in another country? And that's just become a far more real strategic thought for us than it was last week. And so it doesn't change anything in the short term. Will we be okay? Well, we plan to be okay, and as startups, our whole job is to adapt, manage, react, change quickly. But the last thing I want to be dealing with when growing teams and trying to rapidly build talent is a points-based system that gives me visas in 3 months.
Interesting. So Stuart, and then we'll come to you, Costas, and we'll end on a high.
I mean, I'm very nervous about think tax breaks is another thing that it was a lot of work to get to where we got to with the tax breaks in the UK. Hopefully nothing will change there. And funding, I met with a publisher yesterday who pretty much said that his understanding was that people were taking much more of a wait-and-see attitude over the next few months to just see how things worked. Staff freezes were happening, and just to check out what happens. And it's that uncertainty, I think, which in itself will knock people's confidence to want to invest in the UK, which is a worrying thing for our industry.
Costas, do you want to add anything?
I'm Greek actually, so I swore two referendums in what I consider my two countries in the last few years. And they were both very strange to kind of follow. It's just really strange. I think it's a very kind of emotional time, I think, and I can't really pretend to understand sort of the kind of economical and political aspects of it fully. But I just think it's anything that sort of takes us away from a union, and certainly the games industry is a very multicultural union. So I see that as a negative thing. What happens in the short and long term, I guess we'll have to see. But
Okay. So lots of wait and see. What do you think, Sam?
I have a very strong opinion. I think it's very bad for us. I think anything that stops somebody like Costas easily coming over here and working with us is wrong. I mean, full stop. That's bad for us. It's bad for industry. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for anything. As a knock-on effect, yeah, in some ways it's good news. I mean, the money in the bank has dropped in value, but at the same time we're going to get a lot more money in from sales we make outside of England over the next couple of weeks because the pound is so low. So on that side, yay. That's on a selfish business level, yeah, it's going to be fine. On an emotional level, on the idea of trying to staff up and not being able to look easily to the rest of Europe to get my staff, I feel disempowered by that. I feel very underwhelmed by that thought, and I hope that the government listens to the industry leaders that say we need to be able to hire from abroad, we need to be able to do that easily, and I believe that it would be a very sad day if we found ourselves limited only to English talent, not because English talent isn't great. It is great, but there just isn't enough to go around.
One more thing from you, Bruce, then? Sorry?
Yeah, I'll just add on the talent piece as well. You're a startup, right? You're a small company. You're in a visa system. You're competing against large companies. When somebody hires someone and has to pay and go through the process of putting someone through a visa, and I know this because I've done it, and I know it's not just about the fact that it is time-consuming, it's expensive. So there is an expectation that you're bringing someone in and they're stable and they're there for multiple years before they start looking for the next thing. Startups don't have that luxury, right? We are living in a world where we are hoping to succeed, we're working hard to do that, and we have to move quickly. But everyone knows that there is a risk that comes with that. And if somebody is going to actually actively go through the visa process to join you, well, stability is probably going to win out versus joining a company that has 8 or 12 months outlook in front of it as well. So for the startups in particular, the uncertainty around this is absolutely massive.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Panda, for some very incisive comments and thought-provoking stuff. You have a choice now. Do you want to put your hand up and ask a question, or do you want to hit the beer? That's the real question. Any burning questions, we will deal with them. The guys will all be here for a short while, so please feel free to approach them and ask questions. But can you put your hands together and thank Sam, Stuart, Bruce,